storage, some scientific material, stuff behind the walls, of course stuff on the floor here.
Who had to think of something that doesn't
Hey, look, this pen is floating. How crazy is that?
Super einfach. Riesige Auswahl. Mit Lieferheld.de kommt dein Lieblingsessen zu dir. Dein Hunger, unsere Mission. Bestell jetzt auf Lieferheld.de oder per App.
The magic is in us. The magic is, if you can think of it, if you can dream of it, you can achieve it.
Canadian maple cookies. I have a smoked salmon pate, some Canadian chocolate. Look at this, a tube of maple syrup, which is a real treat up here.
Oh. Oh shit! Oh.
Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. That is amazing. That is amazing. That is amazing.
You ready?
Okay, just keep telling me.
Move back. Here we go.
My hand looks like, oh, look at that. Yeah, oh.
There we go. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Shows that I look like I have a floating head. I have a black shirt on, and it blends with the black background. So I'm just a floating head.
In this scene, Chris Hadfield bends down in order to adjust something, and you can see on the back of his shirt a couple of upticks on either side where you would expect wires to come in on either side of that harness in order to support it. Of course, they've computer graphicked out the supporting wires. You can't actually see them, but what you can see is a very slight discoloration where it's slightly lighter and then it goes slightly darker. And that's strange. That shows a couple of things. On the right is going back. He's going back, back, back. And then he just stops. That's an odd motion.
There's a delay too, so we got to take that into consideration.
A swimming pool nearly the size of a football field. I descend into the clearest water I've ever seen, and it looks like an underwater movie set. The pool is a staggering 40 feet deep, and everywhere I look are full-size replica sections of the International Space Station. Once weighted properly, the astronauts hover in the water as if floating in the weightlessness of space. The test conductor and team speak directly to the astronauts through the communications gear in their helmets. The point of all this effort is to provide a learning environment for astronauts where they can practice tasks over and over in simulated zero gravity before they're required to do it by themselves in space. A spacesuit is designed to have more pressure on the inside than on the outside, since it's effectively inflated like a balloon in space. Here in the NBL, that pressure is backwards. Water is definitely not a vacuum. In order to keep the water pressure from squishing the astronauts as they go deeper, the suits are inflated to a pressure just a few psi higher than the surrounding water. When an astronaut goes deeper into the pool, the water pressure pushes in on the suit and tries to compress it, so the suit is given more internal pressure to keep it inflated correctly. As the astronaut ascends towards the surface, the air inside the suit expands and tries to overinflate the suit, so some of the air is released. In this way, the suit always stays inflated just as it would be in space.
Woo! That is the coolest swimming pool ever.
Later, I have the opportunity to meet Ron Guerin, a real astronaut. He has spent nearly half a year in space and more than 27 hours spacewalking. So you know what I had to ask him.
You gotta tell me what it's like to be in space.
What's it like to be in space? Well, it's a lot like being in the pool here. You know, there's two ways to look at it. One is that when we were flying the shuttle, we had very, very specific, very choreographed spacewalks.
Top.
Lightning experience.
Okay, Danny, you can. Okay, Danny.
Proceed this way. Yes, and proceed this way. Yes, and proceed this way.
Open the hook. Open the hook. Open the hook.
Is the faking of spacewalks in a swimming pool. In this vid, you catch a glimpse of someone wearing a scuba tank. Scuba tanks in space? Snorkels and scuba tanks in space?
And there they go. And our commander, Ken Ham, being...
Get a pretty good view looking down into the cockpit there. You can see.
And zero and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis, reaching the crest of its historic 2, 1, 0, and liftoff of Endeavour.
On March 11th, 2008, Space Shuttle Endeavour rose.
I haven't heard screaming.
Hey, there's my beautiful bride.
Actually, he's a fun guy. His character is kind of funny. He seems like a good guy.
Go, watch the fire. Come on, out, out.
Adesso non vi vedremo più. Giù il telo. Siamo pronti. Via. Andate via, via, spariti.
Don't let this happen to your planet. Presented by Science at NASA. Ozone stinks. People who breathe it gag as their lungs burn. The EPA classifies ground-level ozone as air pollution. Yet without it, life on Earth would be impossible. A fragile layer of ozone 25 kilometers above Earth's surface is all that stands between us and some of the harshest UV rays from the sun. The ozone molecule O3 blocks radiation, which would otherwise burn skin and cause cancer. On Mars, which has no ozone layer to protect it, solar UV rays strafe the surface with deadly effect, leaving the apparently lifeless planet without the simplest of organic molecules in the upper millimeters of exposed Martian soil.
they had, you just embraced the pain because these were all unique creations of brilliant people who had to think of something that doesn't exist.
So the shot goes through its roto process. Apply the camera track to it. This is actually at this point here, any part of the shot.
We still have full creative control over this
We've got Sandra completely separate. There was a clean plate there, which we projected back in for our paint department, adding back in any shadows.
And 0 and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis, reaching the crest of its historic